Madison, it's nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. I don't know if you guys have heard or if you guys have seen, but I have never in my entire life successfully completed a TBR, ever, not once. And I said this month when I was making my TBR that this was gonna be the month that I did it. Now, why did I say that on a month that I gave myself a book and that I was slumping when I made my TBR? Not the brightest pea in the pod. I still want to try. Hear me out. I had an 8-book TBR when the month started. I have completed 3 books on it. Not great. I've read 2 Twisted Crowns just for the summer, and I just right now finished Ricochet, which is like the 280-page little novella that comes after Addicted to You. Today is April 20th. 21st? I hope it's the 20th. I feel like it's the 21st, which means I have approximately 10-ish days. Okay, hear me out. What is left on my TBR? We have A Winter's Promise by Christelle Davos. We have the 3rd book in the Natural series by Jonathan Lynn Barnes, All In. We have Hopeless by Elsie Silver, or if you watch my TBR video and what picked this, as my mother would call it, the one about the horsies. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy. They're all so chunky. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and last but not least, Finding 13 by Chloe Wall. Okay, there's no world that this is gonna be in this video, but it's gonna be its own vlog. That being said, here we are. We are going to attempt to read as much of my TBR as possible. If I fail this month, I can just try again. We're at least working towards having a successful month where I actually read my TBR. I literally just finished reading Ricochet. It was like a little 280-page novella. It was giving very much A Court of Frost and Starlight, like the Christmas special in the beginning, okay? I'm gonna settle on giving it a 3.75. This is the 2nd book in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. Apparently the 3rd one is when I'm gonna be hooked. I knew it wasn't gonna be that good. It was better, I think, than I thought it was gonna be. We get a lot of context on people. Like, we learn a lot about the side characters who end up having their own books moving forward. Like, we learn a lot about Lily and Lo, a lot about their families. The whole time, Lo is not in this. Like, it's just Lily trying to deal with her addiction, like, on her own. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite thing ever, but we did learn a lot of context, and we get a lot of, like, their childhoods and, like, how Lily and Lo became dependent on each other. It does what a novella is supposed to do, I guess, 9 times out of 10. It wasn't anything special. However, this is the 3rd book off of the TBR. We're almost halfway. I have no idea which direction I'm gonna go now. I feel like there is absolutely 0 chance that I want to go into a fantasy right now, so it's definitely not going to be the first Mirror Visitor book, but other than that, this is what we have to read for this week. It feels impossible. I'm just going to attempt to read as much as I possibly can, and we'll see how far that I get, because I'm not the fastest reader on planet Earth. Also, Funny Story by Emily Henry comes out in a couple days, and I might want to read that. Let's get into it. Trying to successfully complete my first TBR ever. We're still manifesting good energy, okay? You, right there. I'm pointing at myself in the viewfinder. You are gonna read your TBR this month. Maybe if I lie to myself enough, it'll come true. But so far, I'm getting a lot cringy millennial, that wasn't funny vibes, like quirky. I don't know how to explain it. It's giving me weird energy so far. That's all. That's all I know. That this is Everyone and Their Mom favorite book. I am how many pages in now? 70 pages into this. I'm a little confused thus far. Lucy Score's writing does always hit the spot. She is a great writer, do not get me wrong. It's giving a little like millennial core or something. Like there's been instances where she like doesn't have coffee and she can't form a sentence, and it's like quirky and funny, like I can't talk until I have my coffee. And also our male main character, in his perspective, was like, I can never like her, like ew, she's so preppy, I don't like her. And then in the next scene was fighting his brother. over her, like to get her. Does it get better? Oh goodness, I shouldn't have started here if I had this many books to read, and this is not bad. It's really good. I'm not like wanting to put it down. It's just like I'm like internally cringing at some things. I'm also giving a little bit insta-lovey, and how the fuck do we do insta-love in 500 pages? We'll see. Like, is this really the Knox y'all are all obsessed with? I liked my women the way I liked my relationships. Fast, dirty, and casual. Are we good? Okay, hi, hello. It is in fact, oh my god, is it April 29th? It's April 28th today, and I have not talked to you, nor have I read anything since the last time I talked to you. Make a sentence make sense. Make one sentence make sense, babe. Just one. I have not read anything that I was supposed to read for this video. In the week that I had to film this video, we have like 3 more days. I have not read any more of Nakamo Lucy's Score because Funny Story by Emily Henry came out, and obviously I have no time management skills. I really thought there was a world. There was not a world. I am still not done Funny Story. However, I'm on a road trip right now. I have like 6.5 hours to read. I'm clearly not in no condition to be driving. I have not had enough caffeine yet today. I have 6.5 hours to listen. So I'm thinking, because Spotify audiobooks just launched in Canada like a week or 2 ago, that I'm gonna listen to one of the books. Is that cheating? No, I say it's not cheating. And the librarian character in Funny Story said audiobooks count, so they count. We are gonna try and check off a book. However, it's a 9.5 hour long audiobook. I didn't even say which one. We're gonna do All In from Jennifer Lynn Barnes because I don't really care about annotating that one that much. Like, that's the one I probably care about annotating the least, so I'm okay to listen to it. However, I own it. Kind of a waste. I'm never even gonna open it. That being said, it's a 9.5 hour long podcast. No, it's not. Literally, take a breath. Just think before you speak, babe. Just one singular thought. It's a 9.5 hour long audiobook. So if I listen to it on 1.5, I should be able to do it. However, will my brain be able to process at 1.5? We're gonna try and listen to as much of it as humanly possible. The fact that Spotify has audiobooks now is such a saving grace. It is saving my life today. Hopefully we can check another book off the list because so far we have 3 days left in the month. I still have to finish Funny Story, and I've only read 1 book for this video. All In, starting now. The first book was like a 4.25, such an easy, enjoyable read. The second book was a 4.75, even better, such easy, enjoyable read. It's such a page turners. I don't know how it'll be in audiobook form. I'm curious. I'm also curious because I did guess like at least some of the twists in the first 2 books, so I'm curious if on audio I'm gonna be as checked in to try and guess what's gonna happen. The girl reading this podcast, why do I keep saying podcast? The girl reading this audiobook gave Dean this like honestly awful country accent. The grossest country accent, which makes it so hard to root for him in this love triangle. Like, why is he talking like that? I can seriously not get over the accent that this girl is doing for Dean. Like, I have never been more icked out by a male character ever than I am in this audiobook right now. That is like cruel and unusual punishment. I liked him. Now I picture him as a 65-year-old creepy uncle. I am speechless. I fear this has rendered me speechless. Okay, listening to that audiobook was the best decision that I could have made. I listened to the entire thing, well, most of it. I ended up listening at 2 times speed, which I know sounds crazy, but then I remembered, I don't know why I was nervous about it, because I remembered that I think and speak at a speed that is just completely and remarkably stupid, just way too fucking fast. So 2 times speed was like kind of perfect for my brain to just like completely get lost in the story, and get lost in the story, it freaking did. I ended up almost finishing the audiobook in the drive, and then I finished it. I like flipped through the last like 30 pages of the book with the audiobook at the same time, which wow, do audiobooks read so much slower. It's because they're like dramatized. Did I love it? I loved it. Dean's voice, canceled. Absolutely freaking canceled. What is that fake country accent and why are we doing it? I have a lot of thoughts on this one. I always keep a note if I can't film right away, and by I can't film right away when I finished it, I mean I felt like a bag of garbage and I was exhausted and I looked like garbage. So I made notes of what I thought in the moment so that I wouldn't forget, because this book sold this series for me. This book sold this series for me. I was told that the second one was going to be the best and that this one was a little bit confusing, but the true crime junkie, criminal minds, mind hunter lover in me loved this case. It was so complex and confusing, but in a way that like it kept my attention. Like my brain was so grasped onto the story. I could see why a lot of this case could be like kind of like over your head if you were reading it. So I do think listening to it may have affected my rating, because let me tell you here, first, right now, 5-star motherfucking read. I also did drive back to Toronto today with Chance now that I'm back in Ontario, and I listened to the first like 2 hours of Bad Blood because I'm lost in this series. These are my notes. Oh, okay. How could I have not immediately said this? Salome has and always will be my girly pop. Like, I just want to give Salome a hug. I think I read the Naturals for the first time in my first 24-hour reading video, and I'm pretty sure I said it then. I just want to give Salome a hug. She just is giving like mine running 1,000 miles an hour and is just a kid, and I just want to give her a hug. Like, I love her as a character, and the arc that we got in this, like her background that we got in this story, I loved that it connected to her. Don't get me wrong, this series is extremely convenient. From what I can tell of what's going to be the entire 4-book series and like 12, which is the little novella after Bad Blood, they're very convenient. For some reason, all of the cases that like aren't supposed to connect to the kids end up being one big case that connects to the kids, and it connects all the kids together, and super convenient. Would never happen in real life. However, it's strung together so well that fictionally, so good. The whole plot line of this, it being these killings that are done on like ritualistic dates based on a mathematical equation, I ate it up. I get it, it's a little bit confusing. This sold this series for me. Like, if you have to dial into this one, I think definitely more than the first two. The first two were like kind of mindless. There's definitely still such page turners. Like, the chapters are so short. So much happens in like split seconds. There's no time wasted on fluff. And like, you get the little romance plot, you get the friendship plot, you get the found family plot. It really is a family. Like, these characters, I feel like I can see them. Like, it really feels like a movie in my head. Like, I feel like I'm watching a YA true crime documentary. Not a documentary, like a dramatized show. I think I've also said this about the series before, but the fact that the reason the kids are naturals is because of their trauma, and that we're slowly learning about their trauma, and like it connects in really convenient ways. Do not get me wrong. It's such great storytelling. Like, you feel so connected and enamored in these kids. Like, you care about them in ways that I never thought I was gonna care about kids that worked for the FBI. And like, I wasn't a huge Cassie fan in the beginning. I was kind of like, she's our narrator, not my favorite person ever. I love her now. Like, these characters, I love them. If you love true crime, if you love putting together stuff, so good. Also, I didn't even really guess this one. Like, no, I didn't. In the other ones, I was like, I could guess parts of what was gonna happen in the case, and then she took it so much further. Like, it went so much further than I was expecting, and it was so much bigger than I was expecting, especially for it being a YA. In this, I could not guess anything. The story ties together like a bow, which is so hard to do with all of these kids, all of these backstories, all of these plot points, and how convoluted and confusing this case was. And I'm already in Bad Blood. It's already so good. However, I can't read Bad Blood right now. I did just get it. It's sitting right there, and part of me wants to pick it up. I'm still attempting to finish my TBR. Is it April 29th? Yeah, it is. Do you really want to know where I was April 29th? Drowning in books. That's where I was on April 29th. I still have about 100 pages left of Funny Story, and I really feel like that's where I should go. And if you want my thoughts on that, that's in my new releases video. I'm not going to get into it right now. My goal is to finish that and then read as much of Lucy's Score tonight, and then finish Knock 'Em Out tomorrow, which feels ambitious because not loving it. It's not my favorite book I've ever read so far. Maybe it'll get really good. Right now, it's just giving me like millennial humor, don't really care. Not that millennial humor is bad. I just mean it's kind of like quirky, get my coffee in me vibes. That's not my favorite thing to read in books. But if I can read a decent amount of it today and then finish it tomorrow, we will have read 6 books on the TBR, which is not a win, but I'll take it. You know what? I will take it because that's the closest I've ever been to finishing a TBR. The audiobook of this saved me, although I feel like this case would have caught me either way. This is a very messy video. I'm so sorry. One thing about me, it's that I'm gonna get distracted. I'm gonna go on a wandering path and I'm going to get distracted. It is very much so May. Very much so May. And I'm about this far into Things We Never Got Over. I'm on page 165. Stopped in the middle of a chapter when I fell asleep last night. Accurately depicts how things are going. I was honestly going to scrap this and just like take the L, because if we're honest, a little bit of an L. But then I remembered that this is my channel and like I can do whatever I want, and it's okay to fail sometimes and to like put the pieces back together however you wish. Okay, inspirational. The whole point is this is my channel and I can do whatever the heck I want, including making my April TBR, my May TBR to finish it, because I still have it in my little wee brain that I want to complete it. Is it failed that I read it in the month of April? Absolutely. It's May 5th. However, I can still succeed in other ways. So instead of this being making a challenge to try and read the books on my TBR by the end of the month. It's kind of just like a regular reading vlog now. I'm quite a bit further into Things We Never Got Over now. I'm liking it a lot more than I was originally. Like in the beginning, I kind of was just like, it's giving very much like millennial humor, and I don't know how else to explain it. Like it really is like, oh my god, I haven't had my coffee yet this morning, don't talk to me. That was the vibes I was getting in the beginning, which like I've sometimes gotten with Lucy Score's writing in the past. It doesn't really normally bug me. It's getting a lot of it in the beginning of this. Now I just feel like I'm realizing I've been reading so many like extremely emotionally deep books recently, books that like make me want to sob and rip my heart out, and then like they sew it back together. It's just a little bit more like light fluffy than I was anticipating. It's feeling a little bit long, but I'm enjoying it. Like I don't find myself wanting to put it down. I actually really like Lucy Score's writing. Like By a Thread is like one of my favorite standalone romances. I still think I like By a Thread more than I like this, but I'm enjoying it. I do feel like I kind of wish it was like 300 pages, not 5. We're following Knox and Naomi, which I've heard so much about Mr. Knox, so it is nice to finally be reading it. Naomi has come to this town because her twin sister, who is an absolute fuck up, just like no other word for it, just everybody hates her, steals, vandalizes, like worst person in this town, has called her here to ask for help. But instead of actually needing help, she called her here to steal her car and steal her money and leave her with her daughter. So now Naomi is taking care of her niece after her own life has kind of imploded. She's trying to get back on her feet, she's trying to make more money, and the first person that she meets in this town is Knox, who is like this brooding, grumpy kind of asshole. But like we like him for it. You get his perspective. I find when you get like Grumpy Sunshine but you're getting his perspective and he's like, I don't want to like her but I like her so much, it's entertaining. I can't lie, it's entertaining. Naomi is very much so our sunshine girl. She's trying to do very well by her niece that is now in her care, and at this point Knox and Naomi are just like kind of trying to avoid each other and pretend that they don't find each other attractive. So far it's just like a physical thing. I think Knox thinks that like she's walking sunshine, but he doesn't want a girlfriend and he doesn't want walking sunshine, but like she's pretty. I think we're gonna get more emotional depth with this based on like the little things that I've seen so far. I kind of would be fine either way because I could either cry or I could just read a fluffy little romance that just makes me feel happy and good things, and that would be fine too. Kind of scrapping the trying to finish the TBR in a week video, still attempting to finish my TBR, just pretending that my April TBR is in May and that I make up the dates because it's my world. It sounds so shitty, that's not what I mean. I just mean like if I'm gonna read them. Don't be mad at me. Funny Story and Powerful did not come out at the very end of April. There was a real world that I could have finished this, but there was just no way. No way that I could not jump ship and go over there. For today was going to be to finish this book. So I sat my little butt on our patio because the sun was finally out, which like is the best feeling in Canada. Truly, like when we're starting to get bits of summer, best thing in the entire world. Sat up there all freaking morning, did not let myself leave until I was done this, and now I'm a little bit burnt. That's fine. But I also finished Things We Never Got Over, and this one ended up surprising me. I settled on giving it a 4.5. I really liked it in the end. It took me a really hot minute to get into it. The whole first portion of reading this, before I even read all in, like I was just kind of like meh about it. Like I had heard so many amazing things about it, and I was like, I'm gonna love this. And then I started reading it and I was like, is everyone's favorite book in the room with us? Cause what is going on? And then I found myself just like casually reading it and like not putting it down and getting super lost in the story and like not noticing how much I'd read and how much time had elapsed. And I was like, oh yeah, this is Lucy Score. This is what it feels like to read Lucy Score. I feel like I haven't read like a very typical contemporary romance in a really long time. I love it now. I'd love it at 40. My mom would love it. Like it's just a good feel-good romance. There's emotion in her books. There has to be like they're long as shit. They don't ever drag and they don't feel like taxing. I feel like I've been reading recently a lot of like extremely emotionally taxing romances. Not like light, fluffy rom-coms, more like emotional, deeper message, bigger story rom-com-esque books. Think Just for the Summer, think Emily Henry. Like I feel like those books, they're like more emotionally taxing, but they feel like a really big payoff. And that's kind of all that I've been reading. So I forgot what it was to just read like a comfort book, like something that was literally just enjoyable. I teared up a little bit at a couple of things in this. It's still a very beautiful story, but it's not like emotionally taxing. Like it's more adorable and sweet than it is like I'm so invested in these characters and I'm gonna think about them every single day. Definitely didn't give me like full 5-star feelings. It definitely felt long, but I also wouldn't take anything out of it. I really enjoyed this story. Like I really care about Knox and Naomi now and Waylay, which just like there's so many quirky things about Lucy Score's writing. I also never even imagined that the Knock 'Em Out series would be based in a town called Knock 'Em Out, because why would a town be called Knock 'Em Out? There's just so many quirky little Lucy Scoreisms. I understand why everyone is feeding over Mr. Knox Morgan. I get it now. I'm a big fan. Very much so Grumpy Sunshine, very much Touch Her and You Die. And there's also a lot of other tropes in here that I really love, but they don't happen until like 300 pages in, so I'm gonna let you read that one on your own so I don't spoil anything. I actually am really glad I picked this up. I've had this for a really long time. I've been putting it off. I didn't think I would really ever grab it, and if it weren't for this video and actually attempting to read my TBR and you guys giving me the TBR card that said read Knock 'Em Out, Maddie, I know you're gonna like it, I probably never would have picked this up, which is surprising because By a Thread is like one of my favorite standalone contemporary romances of all time. I also understand now why everyone was so excited for Lucian and Salone's story, which makes me just kind of want to read on. I think the second book is obviously about Nash, I'm assuming. You get really lost in her world. They don't feel like they're 500 plus pages. I don't know how to explain it. She does like this witty, very easy to follow, but like very easy to get lost in story so well. And her characters, she does this found family and like these distinct characters so well. Like I feel like her romances are distinct because the friends and the relationships are so big. There's such a big group of people around our main characters in her books for the most part. You have like parents and friends and co-workers, and they all have like personalities that are distinct. I don't know how she keep everyone straight. Really happy that I picked this up. Really happy it's a 4.5. Really recommend this, which I didn't know if I was going to in the beginning, so happy about that. And I'm definitely still in my romance mood, and I definitely really want to pick up Hopeless now. I'm scared because this is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series. This is the last book that I have in this world. I recommend Chestnut Springs so much. This series means a lot to me. She does interconnected standalone in this country cowboy town like nobody else ever could. And I'm so connected to these characters, this being the 5th book. And I've also heard some not amazing reviews and that people were disappointed with this, which I don't want to be disappointed by it. I just read Wild Love by her and it was really good, but it was definitely not my favorite by her. And now I have nothing else to go look forward to, but I will be reading the Gold Rush series this summer, and that is what is holding me out. And I want to know Beau's story, and I want to be in on the bit when I hear people talking about it. So when I see it on TikTok, I'm not like, I have to scroll away so fast. It's Hopeless time. I actually read Flawless, the first book in the series, like almost exactly a year ago, so this feels opportune. The sun is starting to come out. This feels like summer to me. So this is like a new filming spot unlocked. It's giving chaotic and busy. Not loving it. Also, don't look at all the stuff that I just store on my bookshelf, and I don't know where to put things, but I'm scared the Chance will try and eat them. I put them there. I'm like a good chunk into Hopeless. I'm like almost halfway. I'm on page 240. I think there's like 5 something in here. I honestly went in with like little to no expectations. That's a lie. I feel like a good 50% of me was like, everyone's wrong, because this series is amazing and I love Elsie Silver, and every single time I've picked up a book in this series, it just gets better and better and better. And then another part of me was like, everyone is right, and I agree with most of the opinions of these people that I'm hearing these opinions from that don't love this are saying that sentence doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna let you deduce. A lot of the people that were saying they didn't love it are the people that I usually share very similar ratings and opinions on books with. So it was pretty 50-50. So I kind of feel like I went in like mute, like it could go either way. I'm conflicted. I'm flip-flopping a lot. I feel like while reading this, I am in one sentence like, it's so Elsie Silver, I'm loving every second of this, it's cute, it's what I wanted, it's giving me summer cowboy romance vibes, and then the next second I'm like, didn't love that, or like why did we say that, or like I'm not connecting or caring about this at all. Like I feel like I'm flip-flopping back and forth a lot. We've been waiting so long for Beau's book. That was giving too chaotic, but I don't think this is much better. However, that is much effort as I'm gonna put into moving this camera before I say what I want to say. I honestly don't know how much I was like waiting for Beau's book. I've honestly never really read an interconnected standalone series and been like, I'm dying for this person's book, because I feel like we're eventually gonna get it. We're waiting for it, you know what I mean? Maybe I will find an interconnected standalone series that I'm like really waiting for someone, but I wasn't like dying for Beau. Like I was fine that we got Theo and Winter first. Irregardless, we've known about Beau like throughout the series, slowly but surely. We know that, I just lost my page, I love that. We know that he is in the Canadian Armed Forces, the Special Forces Task Unit, and that something happened in Powerless and they're worried he might not come home. He obviously comes home. Now the very last book in the series, we are getting Beau's book, and it's definitely not going in the direction that I thought it was gonna go. I think I knew it wasn't gonna go the direction I thought it was gonna go, but then I feel like I didn't know where I thought it was gonna go, and this is definitely not one area where I thought it was gonna go. I'm still enjoying her writing. There are a few things about this that I just feel like really disconnected to. Like it's a very easy, enjoyable reading experience. Like it's not a bad book by any means, but like in comparison to the rest of the series, I don't feel for this what I felt for other ones. We're following Beau Eaton and Bailey Jensen, which if you've read the series, you've like kind of heard things about the Jensen boys. They're neighbors, but the boys are like tyrants. They like cause real problems in the town of Chestnut Springs, and Bailey is just their little sister who happens to also be the bartender at the Rail Spur. I never claimed to be country. I don't know what that means. That the characters go through like throughout the series. She's always been the bartender there. She, being the little sister of these brothers, has a very bad rap, and Beau wants his family off of his back. So he's like, what if we just changed your last name and we fake engaged? We did a fake engagement thing. People think you're eventually going to be an Eaton, and then hopefully people will start treating you better and not just like the Jensen little sister. Plotline is good. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of things about this that are like kind of sticking out to me. I was gonna wait to say anything because my opinion is so torn. Like I'm so 50-50. It's good and I like it. It's Elsie Silver and I'm enjoying it, and I really am enjoying it. Like it's a very easy reading experience. I'm not like wanting to put it down. I care about these characters, and you see so much of the characters that from earlier in the series. Like you see all the Eaton boys, you see all of the couples in this so much, and you see like Harvey the dad in this so much. Like this does feel like the final book in a series, and they all live on the same ranch. Like you really see a lot of them, and it's enjoyable to read. But there's like things about this that are weird. Like Beau, to me, like this is not how Beau was written in previous books. Like I feel like his character changed a lot. There's a lot of his PTSD and stuff depicted, and that's like a lot of his storyline, but it doesn't read the same way that it did in previous books. Like he's kind of known for being like a grump and like kind of a raging asshole, but he's not at all with her, which we love that. Like we love that she's the one who makes the difference. There's just something about him that's not reading true to the character that I expected of him from previous books. And then we have Bailey, which I really like Bailey as a character. There's just some like weird isms. Like she's 22, she's unexperienced as they keep putting it, and she talks to him so much about physical, like it's very physical, it's very physically based. Like they talk about the physicalities of everything so much, and she talks about her toys. It's reading so different than the rest of the series. I don't know if I'm just not connecting to them as much. Also, like she reads young, and he is really like quite a bit older. Like she's 22, he's 35, and he's been through so much. Like I don't see how they could relate. Like I understand that maybe she brings like a whimsicalness, like a very light version of life. Like she kind of just like goes through life very like with like light. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And I understand how he would like that, but then it's making her read even younger, and like they just constantly are referring to each other as experienced and inexperienced. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying reading it. Like I'm not wanting to put it down, and I was gonna wait until I said something until I had like more of an opinion, but at the 50% mark, I'm very torn on how I'm feeling about it. It's not my favorite, which is disappointing. Quite a bit further in now. I have like 150-ish pages left, and I think I've identified what my issue is with this. I think like their romance and the characters in themselves, like the sweetness of it is there. True Elsie Silver romance, like I feel connected to the characters. I don't know if I love Bailey, to be honest. I don't dislike Beau. I don't feel like it's a Beau that we thought we were gonna get from the beginning. I will say anything smutty, like the talks of the physicality in this are cringing me a little bit. Like they're making me like, Like it's not, I feel like when there's Spice, even all the other Chestnut Springs books, like it's well placed, it's well timed, it makes sense for the characters in a way. Like it's not just like, it's not like a true like character in the story, it's just like in the story, versus like the smut and the spice in this is like a character in this story. Like it's huge to the plot line. It's making me kind of uncomfortable. Like I think that's what it is, because I'll be enjoying a lot of it and then we get to some weird physical conversation or action, I don't know, and I'm like, didn't love that. Simultaneously a little bit disappointed because this is without a doubt definitely not my favorite book in the Chestnut Springs series as is. However, the finality and the way that this all wraps up, the family dinners that we get with everyone around the table, this is what I mean when I say interconnected standalone. She gets it. I ended up settling on giving this a 4. I'm on it. You're just gonna shake right now. You wanna sit? Thank you. I was definitely torn between a 4 and a 3.75 because it really was truly not my cup of tea. I think I figured out kind of why. The way that the spice is put in this is just a little like, the spice is a character in this book. Like it wasn't just like a plot device. It wasn't just like a normal storyline. It wasn't just like a storyline and then there happened to be spice. It felt like the spice and the conversations that surrounded the spice in this was a character in this story, and it wasn't my favorite thing in the entire world. So the way that it was played was not my favorite thing in the entire world. I can imagine that this would be some people's favorite books. I think the way the characters were portrayed was still very entertaining. Like I realized near the end, like when we were getting some of the like true amazing Elsie Silver emotional relationship-y moments, I was like, yeah, I still really like them as a couple. There's just like something about the physicality of their relationship that I A, didn't really connect to, and B, made it harder for me to fall in love with them as characters. The way that she talks about her toys and stuff in this, just like not totally my cup of tea, and was like kind of out of left field, I feel like, for the rest of the Chestnut Springs series. The finality of the series in this, like the second I put this down, you guys saw I picked up the bonus epilogue from the Bloom version of the publication because I needed more, and that bonus epilogue made me sob, not because it was overly sad, but because it was so final, and like you're so in these characters' worlds. Like they feel like such real people to me. Like I feel like I'm watching reality TV. Like when I think about them, they are reality TV characters that live in my mind. They're not like book characters that I made up and don't exist in real life. I have such clear pictures of every single person in this series. This is what I mean when I say I want an interconnected standalone. I'm obviously a little bit disappointed in this one. Like I feel like I was expecting something very different from Beau's story, especially because like we were all waiting for it. In true Elsie Silver fashion, it's still executed very well. It was still very entertaining. Still think across the board the whole Chestnut Springs series is a 5-star. It is very hard and like sad and bittersweet to be leaving this series behind, that there won't be anything else in Chestnut Springs. But in true Elsie Silver fashion, there were obviously some characters moving forward into future series, and we'll still hear about them and see them. And they're also interconnected, which is like one of my favorite things about the way that she writes romances. And now I get to go back and read the Gold Rush series and experience that all over again from the beginning, and there's a whole series out. And with that being said, it is now May 9th, and there is not even a singular part of me that wants to pick up a fantasy right now. And I mean, like, we already failed. I'm definitely not going to be picking up A Winter's Promise. So this is the end for today. Did I successfully finish my 8-book TBR for the month of April? No. Did I even read them in April? No. However, where I fail once, I get to try again. So maybe we'll revisit this on a future TBR. It kind of ended up being just a normal reading vlog, but from books that I kind of had been putting off. Like I didn't think I would ever read Things We Never Got Over. It just, the size intimidated me. So I'm glad that you guys kind of forced me to, giving me that TBR prompt and then me pulling it, because I actually really enjoyed it, and I've thought about it a lot since. Like I think it is a very strong 4.5-star read. I'm now further into the Addicted series and ready to get on to the 3rd book in the Addicted series, because that's apparently the best one. And I am now actually completely done the Natural series, because after finishing All In, there was no world that I could not move forward. And sadly, begrudgingly, bittersweetly, we are leaving Chestnut Springs, and now I've officially finished the entire series. Maybe I will have to do a ranking of the entire series on TikTok, because I have some strong opinions about the order that these books go in from best to worst, in my opinion. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books and if you loved them. Also, let me know your guys' thoughts on this, because I've seen some like mixed reviews. I've seen some people who were like disappointed, like me, more disappointed than me, and also people who this is like their favorite book in the entire series. So I'm curious to see where everyone falls, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye. That was easily the most chaotic video that I have ever filmed.